In our dialysis crisis series, we start with a tragic story. Now, a 15-year-old Priscilla Ashanti, a chronic kidney patient, pleaded with government to ease the dialysis financial strain on her family. And just before the government would hear her plea, Priscilla has died. Priscilla used to miss classes twice a week and traveled 100 kilometers from Chufumampong to Cape Coast just to be on the dialysis machine. My colleague Richard Kwajo-Nyakun has the rest of the story.
The humming sound of medical equipment here at the renal unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital welcoming patients. It's a Tuesday morning and 15-year-old Priscilla Ashanti is being wheeled into the renal unit here.
The doctors told me I have to be on the machine, and I have to be on that machine either twice or thrice a week.
For now, she has to travel nearly 100 kilometers from Chufumampong with her mother to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital every Tuesday and Thursday to have her dialysis session.
My mom and dad do not have money either. We have become miserable. I am appealing to the government to help me live through this. Otherwise, I may die.
Priscilla, a junior high school pupil, now carries a weight much heavier than her school bag. Her daily battle now is not with textbooks and homework, but with the relentless adversary, renal failure.
I want the government to support me so I can live to fulfill my dream of becoming a nurse.
The burden of her illness has not only taken a toll on her fragile body, but has shattered her world due to the family's precarious financial situation.
They said that could be 3.5.
They say every section is 350 cedis. And this in addition to getting blood and other medication.
Priscilla's mother, Volta Ofori, has been a pillar of strength for her daughter and is determined to ensure her only daughter lives. With teary eyes, she shares the story of her family's headache, struggling to cope with the emotional and financial strain that comes with caring for her only daughter battling renal failure.
From the doctors, if I keep on missing this section, I may lose my daughter. And I need the help of the government.
Her voice quivers as she recounts the sleepless nights and endless hospital visits, each one a reminder of their uphill climb. But Priscilla is not alone in this fight. Thomas Vincent Khan has lived with kidney diseases for a decade.
The people who came and could not survive just a week or even a month. So for me to survive it all these 10 years, it's really been a tough one.
For Thomas, the thought of heading to the dialysis machine is not just physically draining, it's also a haunting financial specter. The towering cost of dialysis looms over him like a relentless shadow, casting doubt and despair. Thomas speaks of the silent tragedy he has witnessed over the years, a grim parade of 100 busloads of people who have lost their lives to kidney failure because they lack the financial means to access dialysis treatments.
Most of the time, it's not easy always chasing people or asking people for help because it is very difficult to sustain. For instance, if somebody gives you 1,000 to help you, you can't go to the person every day or every now and then to ask for the same help. And this is a disease that you always have to be coming to the hospital. Without that funding, you can't come for dialysis. And here is a case that it is a pay as you go. So it means that if you don't have money, you can't come for dialysis. And like I mentioned, there are people who have died because they cannot have the money to come for dialysis. And to tell you the truth, there are lots of the people we have lost, not because of the disease, but just the thought of finding money to come to the hospital. That alone has killed them. If there was any support for them, if they had the money, I'm sure they would have been here by now, and then perhaps be coming to dialysis just to sustain or manage the situation. But unfortunately, because there is no money to support them, we have lost all of them.
Each one, a story of unfulfilled dreams and shattered hopes, adds to the weight of despair that Thomas carries.
We wish that we'll have a strong funding to support our clients, those who are the vulnerable ones. Some are unable to pay even for a session of dialysis.
Chrissy Brown has worked in the renal unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital for 20 years. Over the period, he's seen many families come to him, instructing him to take their relatives from the machine to go home and die. A situation that breaks his heart.
You won't believe it. There are some who even come in, and they come in, tell you that now we don't have money to come anymore, and so please take off the catheter for us to go home. Because they can't. They just don't know how to get the nurse. So the idea is to go home and die. The idea is to go home and die. You understand? It's sad, But if we have a fund in place, then from that fund we can support. Sometimes people transportation from their places to this place itself is also a challenge, in itself. Once the transport fares are going up, it becomes problematic for them.
It's a story of Priscilla, Thomas, and countless others here who bear the heavy burden of kidney diseases. It's a stark reminder that the battle against renal failure is not only fought in hospitals and clinics, but in the hearts and homes of individuals and families who continue to grapple with its physical, emotional, and financial toll. Richard Kwejo for Joy News.
We can now hear from mother of the deceased, Ruth Ofori, who says Priscilla was her only daughter.
No, sit down. What did she really say was wrong with her? No, sit down, because I know.
If I show into doctor, I know I said,
so the doctor said that the two kidneys were all not functioning. Nti busumi say na odi wo dialysis no so machine so.
Pacho busumi de say kama yare ne start ne de ne busumi na ne de to asidie no so no ka de mira ka de mabobi aka na bobi papa this year Nambo a chamber Yoko, until you said a cut 40 million as a semi cucutia and sana, muddy body no, Adia Marina, Yadiaba, I'll be saying Yambo is Fiada.
Now we are dear Jumancasa.
If I tell me, you may be a Kujuma and a mayor. You can swan Yajuma, also some for your dear Janessa, and so you be a gotten dear me. If you had any crampono. A car, and I'll be seeing a boba and your copper bois. I send me when I'm Babatrian, you rampacho, and yes, Kakitua. The bonnet thing. Now, what to be on Francis said, young Cobonus or Tiapo, and a doctor, yeah, a doctor said, now what to be a clever Dr. Moho in Pliny. In Pliny, no sooner. Size and said 2 days 4 days, and 10 million.
So that was Priscilla's mother speaking there to my colleague, Richard Kwejo Nyako. Now, the mother says it was difficult to take care of her. They spent a lot of money on her medical bills. Now, she said she's been on this machine for just a month and died as a result. So she's borrowed too much money to take care of her, and she doesn't even know how she's going to take care of those debts. Moving on to, now we understand that Priscilla will be buried tomorrow. We'll go on the telephone lines now and speak with the headmaster of Mampong DA School, Francis Ampong. Francis, I'm grateful for joining us now. We understand that Priscilla used to miss school often because of ill health and for weekly dialysis. Tell us how chronic kidney disease impacted her life. Now, so I wanted to understand, how the chronic kidney disease affected Priscilla's life. You were with her. You understood how this took a toll on her life. Let us understand how it impacted her. Well, the Ghana Kidney Association says it is taking steps to engage stakeholders on how to make dialysis accessible and affordable to the populace. Now, in a statement that they have released, they indicate that the professional body is responsible for promotion of kidney health through education on prevention and treatment of kidney disorders in Ghana. The association has noticed with concern the issues with dialysis currently making the news. The association is taking steps to engage the stakeholders to make dialysis accessible and affordable to the general population. Outcome of such engagement would be made known to the public. In the meantime, the association entreats the general public to live healthy to protect their kidneys by adhering to treatment of risk factors like hypertension, diabetes, mellitus, and avoiding the abuse of painkillers and herbs. Early reporting to hospital for all patients who have been diagnosed with kidney disease can slow down disease progression. So that is the statement from the Ghana Kidney Association. Let's now return onto the phone lines and speak to the headmaster of the Mampong DA Primary, where Priscilla was a student. Mr. Francis Ampong is joining us now. Grateful to you. Now, we understand that Priscilla used to miss school often because of ill health and weekly dialysis. Tell us how chronic kidney disease impacted her life.
Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
When we were doing the last academic year, of third term examination, we noticed unusual changes on her body, and I told my health coordinator to send her to a parent to take her to hospital with urgency. The following evening, a parent informed she was being admitted. So we follow up to know her condition. During the vacation, we visited and her condition was not better. So a few days after the vacation, we heard from the parents of the demise of the Priscilla Ashanti on 1st October 2023. This girl was in basic 8 and very punctual, respectful, and very calm. She liked subjects like science and mathematics, and she also takes part in sporting activities.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to you. There's some feedback from you, and so we need to end it. Now to other stories. The Archbishop of the Tamale Archdiocese, Philip Name, has called for a national dialogue on the state of the National Health Insurance Scheme. He says the NHIS, which was supposed to be a savior for Ghanaians, especially the poor, has become a dilemma for most Ghanaians looking for reprieve from a harsh healthcare system. He made the comment when he joined workers of the St. Lucie Catholic Hospital to celebrate their 15th anniversary celebration.
Concerns of late, among others, have been the National Health Insurance Scheme. For what was supposed to be a savior for Ghanaians, especially the less privileged, the health insurance scheme has rather become a dilemma for most Ghanaians looking for reprieve from harsh healthcare system. The system has over the years been characterized by delays in reimbursement of claims, corruption, and ineffective governance. This leads to high costs of providing quality health and critical staff leaving the shores of the country. These call for immediate stakeholders' engagement to address these emerging challenges.
Now, it has emerged tonight that the Electoral Commission has exceeded the limited voter registration target by more than 200,000 people. A number of opposition parties, including the National Democratic Congress, has sued the EC, claiming the Commission's refusal to decentralize the process will disenfranchise eligible voters. Well, today the EC called an Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC, meeting with the political parties. It is emerging that some of the parties, including critical civil society representatives, all made a U-turn endorsing the EC's work.
What I have here, we registered 910,996 voters.
900,000 plus people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that meet your target? Because you had a target of 700,000.
Exactly. So you have answered the question. So normally, like I said that because registration is not composed in Ghana, even if there are 10 people who are qualified to register, you don't expect all of them will register, right? So we said that by statistics from the census 2021 census, they said that they projected that 450,000 people turn 18 a year. So if you put 3 years together, because we didn't do registration in 2021, 2022, and 2023, 450,000 multiplied by 3 will give you 1.35. So we will know that the people who qualify by the projection is to the 1.35. But like I said,
and that was based on
the 2021 projection. Like,
by the statistical service.
Exactly so. Now, if you compute 2.6, that's the growth rate by the 30 million. That's around the figure you get.
So the figure was what again, based on calculation?
The 450,000 a year with 1018. In other words, 450,000 people are born in a year. So you multiply by 3, it gives you 1.35. When we met the parties and the rest, nobody complained.
Today?
Yes.
In the IPAC meeting?
Yes.
None of the parties complained?
None. Those who
but the parties that were in IPAC, even without the NDC, some of them said what?
Some are already in the court. But yes, when we met, to me, and I could call a lot of, I wouldn't be mentioning their names, they all agree that a good job has been done.
NDC had joined forces with some of them.
So today, we made reference to those who are in court, and they agree that we have done a good job.
So they gave you thumbs up? They endorsed the work you've done?
The case, because they have gone to court, I wouldn't want to say much, but today, none of them complained. Not a single one. None of them complained.
Their fundamental concern that you go.
Now, President Akufo-Addo is warning democracy is on the decline in Africa, and in particular, the West African sub-region. This part of the world has witnessed an increase in number of coup d'etats, the latest being in Niger, where ECOWAS is contemplating a military action. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference here in Accra, President Akufo-Addo warned that if all do not rise against the development, more of such coups will happen. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Asante reports.
There's been at least 4 military takeovers in the last few years in the West Africa sub-region. ECOWAS is currently studying a roadmap to militarily intervene in Niger to restore constitutional order. President Akufo-Addo is alarmed. The trend is on the rise.
Constitutional changes in government in parts of Africa, especially in West Africa, through a series of coups d'etats and military interventions in governance, which testify to democratic regression. It is in the interest of democratic growth that this development is reversed as soon as possible. And in order so to do, that we give maximum support to ECOWAS, the regional body of West Africa, and the African Union, Africa's continental organization, in their efforts to restore democratic institutions in the affected nations of Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Niger, and Gabon.
He's been assuring the international community that Ghana will not renege on its commitment to constitutional governance.
The Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, indeed, the Commonwealth itself, should join ECOWAS and the African Union in demanding the immediate unconditional release from unjustifiable detention of the democratically elected President of the Republic of Niger, His Excellency Mohamed Bazoum. Democracy and the stability that generally accompanies democratic governance are essential for the future prosperity of the African continent. Ghana has remained steadfast in her commitment to upholding the values outlined in the Commonwealth Charter.
The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, however, believes democratically elected governments sometimes contribute to their own removal.
This year, we celebrate 30 years of stable parliamentary democracy. Ours is a stable democracy in a sub-region that has in recent times developed a notoriety for reversing and backsliding on its democratic journey. Parliaments in the sub-region and in Africa in particular must try to understand the reasons for the loss of trust and confidence in the leadership of democratic processes and institutions that has characterized the recent spate of disruptions of constitutional order and constitutionalism in the continent. But it's important for us to note that these disruptions are always started by the civilian regimes themselves. They are those who go against the dictates of their own constitution and the mandate of the people and invite others to take over. We should be able to pick the signals, should there be any, and to steer our democracies away from such incidents in future.
In related matters, meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has been reiterating his demand for a reform of international institutions and demand for reparation for slave trade.
The reform of the institutions of global governance, particularly the United Nations and its Security Council, to make them more representative and reflective of contemporary realities. And secondly, the agreement of the European nations who sponsored the barbaric and inhuman transatlantic slave trade, to the payment of compensation and reparations to the descendants of the victims of this horrific experience, especially as the slave owners, unlike the slaves, were compensated when the trade was abolished.
The Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference will conclude on Friday in Accra and is the first time Ghana is hosting the conference. It has brought together MPs and speakers from all Commonwealth countries. The conference will deliberate on matters to do with strengthening parliamentary oversight, among other key details. For Joy News, Kweku Asante, Conference Center, Accra.
You're also watching Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Welcome back from the break. Now, the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union is joining calls for government to halt plans to lease Tema Oil Refinery to Terentco Asset Management Group. They assert that due diligence reports findings and the persistent renaming of Terentco have raised serious questions. Speaking at a press conference in Tema, the aggrieved workers said they will remain opposed to the deal because it does not inure to the benefit of the refinery.
The constant and continuous changing of the entity's name suggests that this entity is trying at every point in time to hide all the dubious and scandalous issues behind it. It keeps changing its name, and now we have a new entity with the same people by name Tema Energy and Processing Limited. Now, what even strike all the workers here is that behind the blind side, or at the blind side of all workers, they have induced some Unicorn executive and their cause to form Tall Workers Charity Trust. And then they have given them 15% of the shares, 20% of the shares of Tema Energy and Processing Limited. At the blind side of management and the entire workforce, we want this clear cut of unethical and conflict of interest to be resolved by the appointing authority. We want management to take strict measures in averting all these issues and make sure that these individuals who have perpetrated this act are brought to book. Yes. Otherwise, as workers in the refinery and as executive, we can't guarantee their security and safety in the refinery. This is our simple call to the stakeholders that have been mandated to manage the refinery.
Within this week and next week, the board shouldn't come here. We don't want them, especially the three names that has been mentioned, because Mr. Aspirant is behind whatever is going on. It's not hearsay. It's something that we have witnessed. Because normally, personally, I don't like to say hearsay. We have witnessed his participation on whatever is going on. Aspirant should be off the board. He was part of the previous board. The question is, what did he achieve for the previous board when he was on it? Mrs. Grant was part of the previous board. What did she do? Nothing. We don't even know the reason why they became part of this board. We are asking the president and the minister to make sure that these people are off the board. As soon as possible. They don't have any business here because they are here for their personal interest. The previous board, they didn't get anything. So they want to use this one to achieve something for their personal reason. That is not what we want. We want someone who has tall at heart, someone who wants to run tall. If they are not ready, they should not be here.
Now, 1 out of 10 persons in Ghana spends more than 30 minutes to access improved sources of drinking water. According to UNICEF, in the North Tongue district of the Volta region, over 16 communities have had to choose between coffee-colored water from old wells and the Volta River, which is neither clean nor pure. Clinton Yeboah visited the communities and now reports.
This is the Volta River. It is one of the monumental aquatourist attractions in the country. But for about 16 communities within this area, it is their only water supply. The river flows quietly through communities, providing sustenance for households, backyard farms and livestock. For several generations and years, the Volta River has been a salvation and the go-to water source. In Mepe, Toplonu, Abinu, Lenu, Venu, Kita, and about 9 more communities in the North Tongu district, the pursuit of clean water is more of a struggle than a choice. In these communities, residents journey in the quest to find clean water, typically made to choose between the murky brown liquid from old wells, broken boreholes, and the river, which is neither clean nor pure. The aged residents who cannot take the pain of walking miles to the river employ the services of tricycle riders who charge a fee, carrying the yellow container infamously called Kofo gallon. I have been told that one of these Kofo gallons costs 5 cedis, and 12 of such is needed to fill this barrel, which can take the family throughout the week. That is to say that every household is spending at least 60 cedis on potable water.
Money is difficult to come by, yet we have to face water challenges. We buy it in this gallon at 5 cedis. Even in these tough times, if we fail to go to the farm, we do not eat. If school children do not wake up early, they are punished for being late.
School children carry these containers filled with water from the river. They are heavy, not just in weight, but a task to complete every morning before they show up for school. They risk being late for school for the survival of their households.
And the place that we have been fetching the water from is very far from this place. Sometimes we find it difficult to come and fetch the water here. Sometimes before we go to school, we come and fetch this water before we go to school. And By the time that we finish fetching this water and our house chores before going to school, it will be too late for us to go to school.
In the wake of these struggles, pollution crept in, as residents point out waste disposal and open defecation, which silently poison the water.
This is the only water that we can use to prepare food or drink. And this is the only water close to us too. There is nowhere we can fetch it apart from this one. And also this is where some people have been fishing from. And some also shanking it, which has been affecting some of us in the community.
Eugene Ansa is an environmentalist and a researcher at the Department of Chemistry at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He evaluated that the continued consumption of contaminants found in polluted rivers may expose consumers to health complications, including nervous system attacks.
Toxic metals such as arsenic, cadmium, that get into the environment end up in our water bodies. When consumed, they would have toxic effect on human beings. You can suffer from skin cancer. You can have attack of the central nervous system. People will always make claim that I've not seen anyone suffering from it, and that's what we drink. Yes, it's true. But then, in science, there is bioaccumulation with respect to contaminants when ingested or when taken in. So if I take in a particular contaminant, it might be a little amount that I've taken in. But with time, if I keep on consuming that same thing over and over, it starts to accumulate in my system that we call bioaccumulation. So with that bioaccumulation, it may hit the threshold that can cause problem to you, and therefore it becomes enhanced to you. So after a long time of exposure, you will now be having that effect.
Community members are rallying together to advocate for their rights to clean water.
And if there is something that they can be able to do that will help us, I think they should do it so that it will protect us in the community, to prevent us from diseases.
Assembly member of Jagome Electoral Area, Pitias Agbemo Nomenyo, appeals to authorities to come to the aid of disadvantaged communities.
So we are praying with government that we are facing a lot of challenges in terms of water. We beg them, NGOs will beg you, come to our aid. Let the people also feel comforted. In fact, we plead with you, come to our aid, help us so that our people, our community members can also get good water to drink. Because as we know, water is life. So people are perishing just because of lack of water. We plead with you, we beg you.
Eugene Ansa recommends domestic water treatment undertakings for households in urgent situations.
People who consume river water should first boil the water so as to kill any microbes associated with it. That's the first stage. Now, once you kill the microbes, some of them, we have what we call suspended solids. These suspended solids will usually make the water cloudy. So once you have the suspended solids, we can do filtration and
reporting for
resident of Ejiso in the Ashanti region who until now have been afflicted by deplorable roads are excited as government begins construction of 47-kilometer stretch roads in the area. The project, spearheaded by the Member of Parliament for the area, Dr. John Patriotic, will see poor road networks in about 15 communities tarred and asphalted. Residents of beneficiary communities say their lives are being improved positively. Ohim Interior has more in this report.
For decades, residents of Chirikrum, Amuoma Chiansi, Wankra, Adadiantem, Jamase, among others, have struggled with poor roads. Drivers are forced to stop plying some of these communities, and those who do so also charge exorbitant fares. But through the innovation of the Member of Parliament for Ejoso, Dr. John Patriotic, construction works on both link and town roads, covering 47 kilometers, have begun. For Assemblyman for Amuoma Chiansi Daniel Owusu, the struggle of pregnant women Assessing vehicles, especially at night, could soon be over. The Chikrom Amoma Chanse Abrem Road is penned for asphalting.
So being one, need me finding corniches and a quano, and yet is a book or a book and San it made the natural quota or next town or so, and San it Mako. Paso Basu de Bibi, Sebio, or Hyena, Juma, be a Juma by more than Jumo Krum. I am my mammy deep Krumina, a boy be brave.
For years, commercial drivers resorted to offloading passengers at the Adadientem junction because of poor road network. Francesca Atta is among residents of Adadientem who have had to trek home for over 5 kilometers because commercial drivers refuse to enter the town in protest over bad roads.
But yes, sit down, she is swinging an Antiaco because Cabia, Quani into Moon. They say an half in here, Yankopaya Doma, and pay for who are mobile Muguswa or Moya Mayanti, and near the passe, or Moya, because since you talk rana, a bridge and that one, it to me a break here into me. Cabia quantities are one auntie, no change, you know.
Oh, did you say, we are can't meet me about the Entem crew, my farm.
Oh, yes, of course, Baba. On Baba fire if he say or trot off on or quiet phenomenon.
So Good Engineering and Construction Limited are contractors working on the project. Chief Executive Prince Asari says the firm, which is setting up an asphalt plant, is in good position to complete 25-kilometer stretch by the end of 2023.
Our target is to complete most of the 47-kilometer stretch. Some places have 4 kilometers, some places have 3. So the places that we have started is about 25.
Flag bearer aspirant of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Osu Afriyi-Akoto, is amplifying his vision to create wealth through party businesses in his final round of campaign for the Delegates Congress. This is one of the ways he hopes to raise the morale of party members in the quest to overcome financial challenges of the party. He says creating party businesses to cater for the welfare of officers will be a more sustainable way than relying on donations from resourceful members. Nana Ojima has more in the following report.
According to the former Minister of Agriculture, the morale of the party members has been low since their economic expectations remain unmet. This situation, which will negatively affect the NPP's fortunes in the 2024 election, has plagued the party since 2020.
The 10 months before the 2020 elections was when I got an even better view of what is going on. Because as many of you know, in those 10 months before the election, I was with the President Akufo-Addo everywhere he went. We interacted with our party people. And the sentiments expressed across the country were such that you couldn't escape the fact that the moral of NPP activists on the ground was very, very low. And that is something that haunted some of us until the election, where we were able to escape defeat by the skin of the teeth. As you know, now from 169 seats, we came to 137, and the NDC also had 137. First time that there's been a tie in Parliament since the Fourth Republic in 1992. So the NPP is not in a good place to contest to retain power next year. And we have to address this issue very seriously.
According to Dr. Afriyi-Akoto, the continuous reliance on donations has been the bane of the party. As a solution, he is proposing the adoption of a party business module which exists in South Africa.
We have to look at the models of the ANC in South Africa, the African National Congress, which owns mining companies, it owns insurance companies, it owns shares in other big prosperous companies, and can take good care of their officials from polling station executives all the way to the general secretary of the MP of the party, to develop the party on its own from its own bootstraps, without having to rely on any government, whether in opposition or in government, or business people or individuals to do so. So that is my vision for this party.
Dr. Akuto wants party delegates to consider his track record at the Ministry of Agriculture to vote him as flag bearer.
And I call upon the delegates to consider these visions that I'm sharing with you